All right, everybody, welcome back to the True Alien Podcast. I'm Adrian Smith, and we're back with another dose of the strange and the unexplained.
I'm Julia Jones.
You know what we do here, Julia? Aliens, abductions, UFOs, Bigfoot? We cover it all.
That we do, Adrian, every single day.
We love these stories, and we're here to have some fun with them, to try and figure out, what's real, what's not.
Maybe if we can separate a little bit of fact from the fiction.
Exactly. So we do these deep dives, and with us, as always, Julia Jones is our expert for the Paranormal Probe section.
Hey, everyone.
So we like to give our listeners, a quick way to get informed.
In a fun way, though.
In a fun way. We don't want to bore anybody.
Oh, there are textbooks here.
Exactly.
Hey,
You're curious, you like different perspectives.
Love those aha moments.
You want to know stuff without being bogged down.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're trying to do, and today we have a very interesting story to put our paranormal probe into.
Sounds fun.
We would really appreciate it if you would rate and follow the True Alien Podcast.
Yeah, that helps us out a lot.
It really does. Every little bit helps. And today we're going to be talking about the exchange student extraterrestrial.
Okay.
This is a pasted text we found.
Right.
It's a comedic story about an alien teenager
Fun.
who's trying to fit in high school, which is already an alien concept to most humans.
Oh, absolutely. High school is so strange.
So we're going to dive into the story of Zylar from the planet Zog.
Zylar from Zog. I like it.
Who has been tasked with infiltrating a human high school to observe teenagers.
Sounds like a fun assignment.
This is going to be a fun paranormal probe because obviously this is not a real case.
Right.
But we're going to kind of use this as like a thought experiment.
Okay.
To see if we can glean anything from this about how aliens might interact with humans.
All right, so we're going to look at this fictional scenario to see if we can gain some real-world insights.
Exactly, because there might be some interesting observations about our society that we can pull out of this.
Interesting approach.
So let's start with Zylar's arrival on Earth. He arrives on Earth. His mission is to infiltrate. The high school observed teenagers report back his disguise, a backpack, a hoodie.
Pretty standard teenager look.
2 eyes, mostly symmetrical. It sounds adequate enough, right?
I mean, on the surface, sure. I guess it checks some of the basic boxes for how a teenager might appear.
But we know that blending in is way more than just how you look.
Oh, yeah, it's all about behavior and social cues and a whole bunch of unwritten rules.
So as you might expect, Zylar encounters some difficulties almost immediately.
Oh, I bet.
Day 1 is full of social blunders.
What happened?
So first he tries to fist bump.
Oh.
I mean, sometimes even humans mess that up.
It's true.
But for him, it was just a complete failure. And then he's baffled by soup.
Soup? What's so confusing about soup?
Well, he's having trouble with the physics of liquids.
Interesting.
It really makes you think about all the things that we take for granted on Earth.
Like how liquids behave.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're from a planet with different gravity or a different atmosphere, our everyday reality might seem totally bizarre. Like soup could be a huge challenge.
And speaking of challenges, he encounters math, which he sees as a form of numerical torture.
Math is hard for everyone, let's be honest.
I mean, it's funny, but it does make you wonder what an alien species would think of our systems of learning.
Yeah, like our entire approach to education could seem totally arbitrary or even nonsensical to an outsider.
It just gets worse for him from there.
Oh dear, what happens?
Gym class is a disaster.
Gym class is a disaster for a lot of us.
It's true for Zylar. It's especially bad. He ends up hurling a basketball through the backboard.
Oops.
Yeah. Turns out his species evolved on a high-gravity planet, so he's much stronger than a human.
So even just everyday movements would require way more strength than we're used to.
And then during dodgeball, he accidentally folds another student in half.
Oh, no.
And his way of apologizing is to glow subtly and hum.
That might not be the best apology.
This leads to whispers among the students that he's a mutant, a steroid freak, or, definitely an alien.
So even though he's trying to blend in, his different abilities are making him stand out.
So after gym class, he retreats to the library.
Okay, makes sense. The library is a good place to hide.
Seeking solace in data.
Right.
That's where he meets Ember.
Ember, who's that?
She's kind of the class weirdo.
Okay.
She's into comics and she likes to draw these outlandish creatures.
Sounds like an interesting character.
And Zylar sees her as a potential kindred spirit.
Oh, I see.
But his attempt at greeting her is very awkward.
What does he say?
He says, "Greetings, fellow Earthling."
Not exactly smooth.
Not at all.
I mean, it's clear that he's still struggling with basic human interaction.
He doesn't understand the nuances of casual conversation.
But I guess he's trying to connect with someone who also seems different.
Exactly. And Ember is actually very accepting of him.
What does she say?
She just says, "Bad day for a first day, huh?"
That's a pretty understanding response.
And Zylar agrees. He says, "Indeed, your customs are confusing."
It sounds like she's starting to see past his awkwardness.
And then Ember offers him a pencil and suggests he draw.
That's nice of her.
It's a simple act of kindness, but it seems to really resonate with Zylar.
I guess sometimes those small gestures can mean a lot.
Exactly. And what does Zylar draw?
I'm curious.
He sketches a Zillion flutterbeast.
A zillion? What is that?
It's a creature from his home planet with iridescent wings.
Wow, that sounds beautiful.
And Ember loves it.
Oh, that's great.
She thinks it's just a cool fantasy creature. She has no idea it's real.
So their shared interest in art is helping them connect.
Exactly.
It's like they're finding common ground even though they come from completely different worlds.
Exactly. And it shows that sometimes the things that make us different can also bring us together.
That's a great point.
So Amber becomes kind of like a cultural guide for Zylar.
Okay, house.
She gives him tips on how to navigate the cafeteria.
Important life skill.
Avoid the green stuff.
Good advice.
She comes up with cover stories for him.
Like what?
The classic he's Canadian excuse. But Zylar keeps having these hilarious mishaps.
Oh no, give me an example.
He chews some bubblegum and his backpack starts glowing.
Weird.
Then he tries to laugh, but it sounds like a malfunctioning lawnmower.
That's a pretty unique laugh.
But somehow he ends up being accepted by the drama club.
The drama club, that makes sense.
They see his weirdness as cool.
Of course they do.
They're a group of misfits themselves.
It's like they recognize a kindred spirit.
They reinterpret all of his strange qualities as artistic talents.
I love that.
So his glowing hands become experimental stagecraft.
Nice.
And his halting speech is seen as brilliant artistic detachment.
Very dramatic.
Meanwhile, Zylar is sending reports back to Zog High Command.
I bet those reports are pretty interesting.
He's trying to explain things like school dances and social hierarchies, but he's completely misinterpreting everything.
I bet.
He calls school dances tribal rituals.
Wow.
And he can't figure out why the jocks seem to have so much power when the geeks are clearly the ones with the brains.
It's like he's trying to apply Zogian logic to human behavior, and it's just not working.
Exactly. And it just shows how difficult it is to truly understand another culture.
Absolutely.
So things are going relatively well for Zylar until the class takes a field trip to a space launch facility.
Oh, no. That sounds like a problem.
He freaks out because he realizes that his own species' technology might be able to detect him.
That's a pretty reasonable fear.
So he pretends to be sick.
How does he do that?
It involves turning his skin green and making some pretty convincing retching noises.
That sounds gross.
Yeah, apparently that's how Zogians get out of stuff.
Huh, interesting.
And Ember is worried about him.
Oh, that's sweet.
She insists that he stay on the bus and rest.
Even though he looks and sounds awful.
She's a good friend.
She is.
So while everybody's off looking at rockets, Zylar's alone on the bus.
Okay, what does he do?
He decides to send a message, but not to his home planet.
Who does he send it to?
He sends it to Ember.
What? How is that possible?
It's not clear how, but it's implied that they've developed some kind of digital communication.
Cool.
Then he takes off.
What do you mean?
When the class gets back to the parking lot, the bus is gone.
Gone.
All that's left is a smoldering crater and a note.
A note? What does it say?
It says, "Emergency recall, aliens."
Yep.
So Zylar, the Canadian one.
So he left a message.
Yep.
It's like a little wink to Ember.
So now the humans are freaking out.
What happens next?
Reports of the incident reach the Zogian High Command.
I can only imagine their reaction.
They are not happy. There's talk of an invasion.
An invasion.
But then the Zogian scientists step in and they're like, wait a minute, this planet has food that can change your skin color.
That is strange.
They're like, they must have weapons that are even more powerful.
So they're scared of us.
Pretty much.
Because of bubblegum.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
They decide that Earth is too risky to conquer.
So Zylar accidentally saved the planet.
He did.
By eating bubblegum.
Now back on. Zylar is facing disciplinary action, but he includes Ember's sketches in his final report.
What sketches?
Sketches of aliens, but also sketches of human life.
What kind of human life?
Like the chemistry class explosions and the drama club practices.
Everyday stuff.
Exactly. And the Zogians look at these sketches and they're like, wow, these humans are really weird.
Let him figure us out.
Nope, they're too confusing to conquer. So they give Zylar a new mission.
What's the new mission?
Undercover observation stage 2.
What's he observing?
This time he's focusing on Earth's secret weapons.
Like what?
Bubblegum, drama club, and friendship?
Friendship as a weapon.
The Zogians don't understand it.
They see it as a powerful force.
They do.
It's like their greatest fear.
So what do you think, Julia?
Well, I think the story is a great example of how humor can be used to explore some pretty deep topics.
Like what?
Like first contact and cultural misunderstandings.
It makes you think about how an alien species might perceive us.
Right, and what they would find strange or confusing about our culture.
Like soup?
Or bubblegum.
Or map?
Exactly.
What do you think is the most important takeaway from this story?
I think it's the idea that connection is possible even between beings who are vastly different.
That's a good point.
You know, Zylar and Ember started out as complete strangers.
From different worlds.
But they were able to find common ground through their shared interest.
And their friendship ultimately saved the planet.
It did. It's a nice thought, isn't it?
So for our listeners out there, think about it. If an alien landed in your town,
in your school or your workplace,
what do you think would confuse them the most?
And what unexpected connections might you be able to make?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
We love hearing from you.
And don't forget to rate and follow the True Alien Podcast for more explorations into the strange and the unexplained.
We'll be back with another episode soon.
See you next time.